How are you doing today? How are you doing today? Y'all already know I am your host, Lacey G. Souldier Turner, and today I got a very special guest with me, Congressman woman. You know, she's a registered nurse, community activist, organizer, a single mother, ordained pastor. You know, she represents the people of Missouri's first congressional district. Man, you know, I don't have to go into any further. She has been doing a lot of great things for the community since she has been in office. So without further ado, we have the wonderful, amazing, talented Cori Bush. Welcome to the platform.
Thank you for having me on, Lacey.
You're welcome. So before we get into what I want to talk about, I want to let the people know a little bit about you. So can you let the people know where were you born and raised and how was your upbringing as a child?
I'm sure. Born right here in St. Louis. My family, we started off when I was born on the north side. No, actually, we didn't start off on the north side. I'm sorry. We started off on the west side, and then we moved north when I, got a little older. So my upbringing, I was raised primarily uh, I think after like around the age of 5 and up, somewhere around there, in the Normandy area. So I was raised in Northwoods, graduated from Cardinal Ritter, in case anybody needed to know.
Okay, so look this first. So for the people who want to visit St. Louis and be scared, they heard about the murder rate and all that. What can you tell the people about St. Louis who will want to come and visit but might be scared?
Yeah, first of all, there we are tackling issues of violence in every community across the country. So the thing is this: the crime rate, the is you know we have decreased the crime rate by 40%, or just over the last few years. I remember after my first year, after our mayor, Tashara Jones' first year, uh, crime was down, I believe, somewhere around 21%. And now it's the gap is widening even more. So I would say, first of all, St. Louis is a great place to be. I love my city. I love my the county. I love my community. So come to St. Louis. This is a place where you're going to eat well. You're going to meet great people. It's a place you're going to get great music. We have just there's a lot here for you. We have our sports teams. If you love sports, like I do, so yeah. So come to St. Louis, and I'll say this: we have not fixed the problems uh, that allow for the crime and violence in our communities to be what it is. We we have in Missouri, we have some of the most lax gun laws in the country. And so we can't say, oh well, we need to do better in this area without pushing on those that make the decisions about what the gun laws are. I've been pushing myself, but what I have been able to do is fund those organizations that are doing the work for non-carceral crisis response units, as well as violence interruption and prevention programs. So that's what we have to do. And also, I've been able to implement this approach to those prevention programs, but also supporting our health workers by securing $3 million in community project funding for the BRIC. That's a new trauma healing center in St. Louis City. And we helped pass the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. That is comprehensive gun legislation that is on the federal level, that where we were able to secure community violence intervention program funding. So we are, you know, we're pushing to change not only St. Louis but the country.
You see that? You heard what Corey said. And look, me and Corey, we still alive. So come on, bring you over here.
That's right. Come to St. Louis. We'll show you around.
So let me ask you this. Okay, so you are up for re-election, for your congressional seat. What have you learned while being in office?
What have I learned? Uh, I've learned the power of coalition building, I'll say. And being an activist, coalition building, with different organizations and people, to be able to build a movement. I think that's kind of how I got my start. And I always said that I would take the movement to save Black lives and have, for police accountability and reform, and then in so many other areas too. It was not just that area. We've been working in so many different areas. The issues that are the priority of the people of St. Louis, but I was able to take that organizing and bring it to Congress. And so one of those examples is the eviction moratorium. Being able to, you know, work with so many different organizations and groups and people in leadership, house leadership, the president's administration, the treasury department, being able to build the congressional black caucus, the congressional progressive caucus, just so many different factions of our government, but also our community, to be able to get that eviction moratorium extended when it was about to expire and 11 million people were going to be at risk for evictions. And let me tell you, Lacey, 7,000 of those people were in our district right here in St. Louis. I couldn't let that happen, so
Wow.
we built that
Yeah.
coalition. We built strong ones.
And look, that's a wonderful thing, especially like you said, you ain't want the people to be out on the street, so that's very important also.
Right.
Let me ask you this: what are your goals for office when you get reelected? Let me say that.
Yes, yes. So when we get reelected, because that's happening, um, the first goal is, now I'll say this, the goals may be a little different depending on who the president is.
Mhm.
So yeah, yeah, you, you know. Um, so if we have the president, if we have a Democratic president, then I'll be working on some of the issues that are most pressing for the St. Louis area, which is, um, you know, uh, uh, emphasizing and pushing for an inclusive and holistic health centered approach to public safety. So, as you were speaking about dealing with our crime in the community and homicides, that's one part of our public safety. The other part is making sure that people who are non-English speaking, people who are unhoused, those who are suffering from a mental health crisis, that they are able to, if they're having if they're in the middle of an emergency, that they are able to have, um, you know, help. That they're able to have assistance that is, that will meet their need in that moment without it being a carceral response. Um, and so that plus I want to make sure. So we want to. So the goals would be to make sure that programs like that are funded. Another goal would be making sure that we cross the line and finalize the Equal Rights Amendment. The Equal Rights Amendment is 101 years old. It turned 101 on my birthday, July 21st this year. Women, yeah, the Equal Rights Amendment. Women should be in the Constitution, and we're not. Other than the 19th Amendment, we should be in the Constitution so that we can have the protections afforded, so that the protections and the rights that are afforded to men are also 100% afforded to women.
Okay, so
So I
yeah,
have a bunch actually,
equal right,
but go ahead.
equal right. I feel you. I feel you. So, I know you spoke on this a little bit. Could you tell me like what are the most pressing issues in office that you are seeking to work
Sure. So, just like I said, having that, making sure that we are saving lives basically is the approach, and how do we do that? So, another area that I haven't talked about yet, housing. So we know that we have a housing crisis right here at home, whether
Definitely.
it's the lack of affordable housing stock, whether it and some of that being because corporations are coming in buying up homes, and just we also have, a shortage of shelter space. So we were able to, and then our senior homes, we have so many seniors, our elders are calling us saying, hey, we need help because the conditions of this building, are unsafe. And so we were able to, I wrote a bill called the Unhoused Bill of Rights to fix the unhoused crisis completely and funded by 2027. Of course, I spoke about the eviction moratorium, but we're dealing with derelict landlords. When we talk about senior homes, the Heritage House. Uh, there was um, there was an emergency situation that happened at this senior home, and we were able to connect get everyone out of that building alongside other partners like the Urban League and the mayor's office. We were able to, and other organizations, and we were able to get people out of there, get them into hotels, and then get them into permanent housing. And also, I'll add. Grants Pass v. Johnson. That is a case that went all the way to the Supreme Court and it was basically about criminalizing homelessness, where people can't even have a blanket and sleep on the street without being breaking the law. And so I led on an amicus brief to make sure that there was some evidence that this just was is not the way to be humane and take care of the people in our communities. But let me also add reproductive rights. That is a pressing issue right now in Missouri. you know uh, People don't have the same rights to their own bodies that they had when I was 18. My daughter does not have the same rights to her own body. We lost abortion rights, and so we're fighting for that. But also, let me say, I not only am fighting for that, I'm championing that area, just like housing, because for the first time ever, a black woman is the lead sponsor of the Equal Rights Amendment, which would and I mean in 100 years, which would help to codify those rights for abortion. Is a bunch of other issues that are pressing, especially to women. And I, to help to do that, I introduced the bill to repeal the Comstock Act, which is this zombie statute that the Republicans would use to help install a nationwide abortion. And then let me just tell you, I could go on and on.
Okay. So, like you said, you've been doing a lot of stuff. You have a lot of stuff on the table that you're trying to do. What do you think is the most important skill that you must have being a congressman?
Most important skill. Um, I would say staying focused. I would say staying focused because, and part of staying focused is staying true to who I am as I do this work. And so I am staying committed to my mission, to do the most. Look, let me tell you, the mission of our office since day one was to do the absolute most for every single person in St. Louis, in this district, starting with those who have the greatest need. And so for me, staying focused means I prioritize the needs of all of my constituents above all else. I'm working with whoever in order to get the job done. And so I've been able to work with former Senator Roy Blunt on disaster relief, and I worked with Senator Josh Hawley on the RECA bill to make sure that those that were supposed to have compensation for the radioactive waste that they have been exposed to, that they are able to get that compensation and those resources. And so staying focused as who I am, though.
Yeah,
I'm somebody that won't back down.
right.
If you're messing with St. Louis, I'm not going to back down. I'm going for everything.
Facts. I got you. I got you. So let's get into this. Okay. Wesley Bell, you know what I'm saying? You go up against Wesley Bell. What would you say separates you from your opponent that you're running against? What separates you from Wesley?
I'm not a sellout. I
Mm,
won't sell out my community for a dollar. I won't sell out my community for a position. I won't sell out my community for political gain. That to start, and the reason why I'm saying that, and one thing about me is I am not someone who attacks people. I don't come after people's character. People can remember my other races. That's just not. That's not who I am. But in this situation, I need the people to know exactly who this person is because he's been deceiving the people of St. Louis, and I won't have it because if you touch my, I'm like Mama Bird, like the people of St. Louis, like you messing with my baby. And so I need people to know that he is like this. He's basically a Republican operative. You're running for a Democratic seat, but you were the campaign manager for a Republican who was trying to flip this particular seat blue. I mean, red, and make this a Republican seat. You were his campaign manager, and he was working to. This was someone who was pushing for a constitutional ban on abortion in Missouri. He has donated, even since then, donated to Republicans, and then now he receives donations right now. Remember, he was running against Josh Hawley first, and then he switched to run against me. He was offered upwards of $20 million to switch to run against me. And so now, instead of running against Josh Hawley, he's taking Josh Hawley's donors' money. He takes Donald Trump donor money. He takes JD Vance donor money. So these mega billionaires, these MAGA billionaires are working to make the decision about who represents St. Louis in the United States Congress. That's not okay.
So you basically saying he can be bought up in it. So let me say this too. Just yesterday, the leaked phone call came out where I was on the phone again, and he told you that he would not run against you. So
Yes.
how did that make you feel when he did it?
I was I have to tell you, I was shocked. I have people who were around me who were telling me from that phone call, they were saying for the next several months, "Oh, Cori, he's going to run against you. You just be ready. Just be ready." We're hearing from other people that he's actually running against you. You got to believe it. And I kept saying, "No, like why would he do that? Like Wesley and I are cool." And he said he wouldn't. He gave me his word. Like it's okay if he was going to run against me, then he could just say that. But since he didn't, he said he wasn't. Um, I since he said something different, I just believe that. And so it really pissed me off. But also, I think what pissed me off more is that never in the time that I've known him, never in the time that I've been in this seat, has he ever said to me, "I don't like the way you're doing X," or "You're not doing this right," or "Can we have a conversation about this?" Never once. We've only worked together on things, and I worked to actually help him because he was causing some problems that was an issue for us, for me, and the work that I'm doing as we're trying, as one of my big issues um, to end, these state sanctioned killings and to end the death penalty. And him not pushing hard enough to save lives has been an issue for me. And so I was trying to work with him to help push him in that area, and for him just to never say anything, but then to decide that the reason why he was going to run against me was because I called for a ceasefire, because I called for peace, because I said let's not drop bombs on babies. And he said, so then that means I need to run against you? No, $20 million is what made him run against me.
Uh, so you basically saying he's deceiving the people, like he can be bought.
He is deceiving the people, just like in that phone call. He said, "I give you my word." And I want to say this to be clear to the people. I never once offered to endorse him. Never once. What I said was, we can talk about an endorsement. We can go through the process. I say that to everyone who asks for an endorsement. You have to fill out an endorsement questionnaire because I need to know who you are and what do you think on these issues. I never offered my endorsement. I would never do that. Just without any type of a process. It's just not how I operate.
Okay. Well, y'all heard it here first from Cori Bush. She said she never said she was going to endorse him. She said she can talk about it. Okay. So let me move on to speak about this. You spoke a little bit about this, but school shootings and murders have been at an all-time high. What do you feel is the cause of this, and what do you feel can be done to make a difference in clearing this up?
Yeah, the school shootings. It's it is. I feel it is at an all-time high, and it's just saying thoughts and prayers is not going to change it. And I know I hear that a lot from my colleagues. Almost to the and I guess really what it is we have become society has become desensitized to the school shootings and murders just across the board. But for me, public safety has to be a matter of public health. Congress has to invest in evidence based public health efforts that are proven to reduce violence. What we know will stop violence, what we know will prevent violence or reduce violence, and to keep our community safe. And so for me, community health workers, I've worked with so many of them in the past. For those that don't know, my background is I was a registered nurse for a community health agency for hospitals. In home, I did home care for a while, so I worked with community health workers, and I know what they do. They will get it. Those are the folks that will hop in their car and come to your house and help you. But also non-carceral crisis response units, mental health professionals. We need mental health professionals working with the people who need those services, and then as well as wraparound services. We need people. We need organizations and people who can assist people not only in that crisis moment, but just helping them to, if they need a way or time to get stable, helping them to get to that point. And then our violence interruption and prevention programs. These are for youth. These are for adults. We want to help communities. We want to help individuals. So we need money to do that, and that is something that I've also worked on in Congress.
Okay. So I want to make sure I push this home because you spoke on this also a little bit. What are some of your own policies that you want to implement into play when you get
Sure. Sure. So one thing is the ceasefire now resolution. So that ceasefire now resolution, which my opponent says is the reason why he decided to run against me. But the point about about the ceasefire now resolution is, number one, our work has to be to save lives. I'm a nurse. I'm a former nurse, a pastor, a mom, an advocate on so many issues. So saving lives, saving the lives of people is first for me. And not only that, it's United States taxpayer dollars that are being used for these military weapons that are hurting people. And this is money from St. Louis directly. This is St. Louis taxpayer money. This is Missouri taxpayer money being used to harm people in another country. So that's one. Reparations. I have the first of its kind comprehensive reparations legislation in the United States Congress. I introduced that. I authored it. It took us a couple of years working on that to finalize it, and so that is something that I want to implement because I believe that we need reparations for the descendants of enslaved Africans in this country, and that is cash, but also it needs to be full repair for chattel slavery, to include how we fix the vestiges of slavery. So um, whether it's fully funding our HBCUs, making healthcare, making sure that everyone has healthcare coverage, to fixing and fighting housing discrimination, money for small businesses, just on and on, just how we bring the true repair to our communities. And then ending solitary confinement. It is just absolutely inhumane that that is a practice that's still happening across our world. And then another, again, like I said before, finalizing the Equal Rights Amendment. We are only one signature away. 100 years, we are only one signature away. And I think, if we have, Vice President Kamala Harris, as our president, maybe we could get that done. And for me, co-founding the largest one of the largest caucuses in Congress. I think our caucus is the fifth largest in the United States Congress. Having that to push for the Equal Rights Amendment, and push my own legislation for the Equal Rights Amendment, it would be a change maker.
Great. That's great. That's a great thing. So let me ask you this, Miss Cori Bush. While you've been in office, what would you say has been your greatest challenge?
Mhm. Well, let me say this. So, uh, my background, Lacey being, not only the pastor and the nurse and the mom and former child care worker, but also activist. And so right before my election, my primary, when I was able to unseat my predecessor, we were in the streets marching for justice for George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery and so many others. And then several months later, I was sworn in as the first Black congresswoman from the state of Missouri. But 3 days later was the insurrection on the Capitol, something we were told would never happen, could not happen. So I would say that my challenge with that was, it was day three. It was day three. We didn't even have water in our office yet, drinking water. We didn't have I didn't have a panic button where if something did happen, I could hit the button and alert the authorities that, we were in danger. That was a very tough day for not only me, for my staff, but because the insurrection happened on day three, the rest of this time in Congress has been a fight. And then because we're fighting white supremacy, we're fighting this MAGA ideology, which now looks like Project 2025. And I hope if people haven't heard of Project 25, please go and Google it. And then I think my other challenge, since I've been in office, is um, one thing I'll say that hurts me the most is I can't fix it every day. So Lacey, not being able, knowing that there are people who our office was working to help, but we couldn't help them, that day, that there's someone else. Just even when I was a nurse, it was that way. It was just like, this person needs a lot of help, and we were able to get these things done, but we're still working on these things. And so that is my greatest challenge, is just knowing that every day someone still has a need, and we didn't, we couldn't fix it yet.
Gotcha. Um, on the flip side of that, what would you say has been your greatest accomplishment?
uh, i would say I would say the eviction moratorium, because 11 million people,
Yeah.
we when we think about the housing crisis right now, just in St. Louis alone, and we know we haven't fixed that problem, that issue. And so for me to be able to, uh, as a lone congresswoman, as I was a freshman, had only been there for a few months, for me to have to like to organize this protest on the steps of the U.S. Capitol after everyone told me that I would fail, and for it to actually be successful after 4 nights and 5 days. For the president to actually say, "Okay, I'm going to go ahead and extend it," for him to understand that this is what needed to happen. And so 11 million people were no longer at risk for evictions at that time. And it was actually the month that saw the largest disbursement of emergency rental assistance funds since the pandemic had started. So it was, and then I still have people who come up to me today, in not only in St. Louis but around the country, who will see me and say, "You're the reason why I was able to stay in my home. You're the reason why the DFS, or didn't take my kids from me, or." And so that absolutely, I would say, is the greatest accomplishment.
Hey, man, salute to Cori Bush, man. Y'all see that she kept a lot of people in their house.
That's right.
So, Miss Corey, so the most important question of all that I want to ask you: why should the people vote for you?
I am St. Louis. Uh, I am, the people that I fight for. No one will fight harder for St. Louis than me. And I think people have seen that. Not only will I talk the talk, I walk the walk. I will be the person. I'm not going to tell you to do something that I won't do. You know, my colleagues even say, they off, they often say on both sides of the aisle. I've heard, I just love it when you say St. Louis and I. Every time you go before committee hearing, you go before you give a speech on the House floor. You say St. Louis and I rise.
Yeah.
And so they know that I'm fighting for St. Louis. The president of the United States knows that if I'm going to talk to him, he's going to hear about St. Louis. Our vice president knows if I'm going to talk to her, she knows that I'm going to talk about St. Louis. My mission for this office has been clear. And so I'm going to do the most for everyone, but I'm starting with those who have oftentimes been the neglected, been the the most marginalized, been the most vulnerable. And so, and I do that because this is the thing, this is who I was volunteering my time. So I was working a full 8, 12, sometimes 16-hour shift. And then I would get off work and then I would go work with our unhoused community. I would go and do work to help fight human trafficking. I was going and doing work in the area of uh, fighting our climate crisis or for Medicare for all, and just so many areas fighting for our abortion rights. I was doing that work before I ever entered Congress. I was doing that work before I entered office, before I started to run for office. So it's just who I am. And I'm the same person. I'm the same person that I was then. I'm the same person that I was when I was unhoused, living out of the car with my two babies, when I was hungry and didn't have enough food to feed myself and only fed my children. I'm the same person who was shot at and then choked out and left for dead by an abusive partner. I'm the same person that has been evicted and had to put my clothes and my belongings in a trash bag because I didn't have enough money to put them in boxes. I'm that same person. I remember that. I'm the same person that was assaulted by the police during the Ferguson uprising. I'm that same person with that same grit and that same courage and that same love for the people in St. Louis. But I added to that being able to be the politician to do a lot more about it.
Man, look, she just gave that real answer. I love you, Corey. You say you just genuine. You can see the realness in you. So
I love that. Thank you so much, Lacey. And I brought $2 billion to St. Louis, and I brought $41 million in funding for local community projects, and I passed over 25 pieces of legislation, and 5 pieces of my legislation was signed into law by President Biden. So it's not just even just the things that make my heart move, like it's actual, tangible things we can point to. So
talk your
thank
stuff.
you, Lacey. I appreciate that.
You welcome. Talk your stuff. Talk your stuff. So I wanted to ask you this too before you do go. Can you let the people know why it is important for them to vote? Because people be like, "Oh man, my vote don't mean nothing. They ain't nothing to go change." Can you let the people know why it is important for them to vote?
Look, yes. Let me tell you this. The reason why people say that, why people will push that your vote doesn't count, is because of how much it actually counts. So someone is going to sit in that seat. Someone will win that election. I know people who have won. My own father, who's been in politics for most of my life, he's had races that were so close down to pretty much one family showing up, is the reason why he was able to win a race. And I know other people who have been in similar situations where it came down to just a few votes. It matters because someone is going to take the seat. So that means that you want someone who more closely aligns with what you believe and what you want. The issue that we have right now in our communities is that when we don't vote or we don't look up who we don't look the people up to see, like, is there someone who I feel like could speak for me more than the other? If we don't look that up, then oftentimes the person who does not have our best interest at heart, the person who is paid, the person who has the most money, is the one that wins. And so looking at it right now, my opponent, all has millions of dollars, that was, the Republicans gave him so much money, or are using, or putting money on television to be able to, prop him up. But that doesn't make him the best candidate. That shows that he's the weakest candidate, because they have to put so much money out there to make you believe what they want you to believe. Now, this is the thing. When that type of person wins, he won't win this race, but when that type of person wins, that just means that they now have to do the bidding of whoever paid them.
Right.
They have to be accountable to that person. You want the person that's only accountable to you. You want the person that cares about you and your values. Will it be 100%? Maybe not. But the one that's going to be there, the one that you believe in more, that's why we need you to show up. And lastly, on this point, Lacey, we also have to understand that the policies that we like, we have to live out these decisions that people make for us.
Right.
So I think about how in some parts of Missouri, the school districts, those students go to school 4 days a week. In St. Louis, of course, our students go to school 5 days a week.
Right.
That's a decision that was made by a legislator, by someone who was elected. They made that decision to change that in Missouri. So the thing is, who makes those decisions is who we vote for or who we don't. So just remember that it's your elected officials are making decisions for you every day. Look, we're making decisions for you 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning when you're
Right.
sleeping. We're voting.
Facts. Facts. So Miss Cori Bush, let the people know the day that they post to vote and everything.
Yes. So the absentee voting with no excuse, kind of like people consider as early voting, it has already started. So you can go out and vote now. You can go out and vote all the way up until the 5th. The 6th is the last day. August 6th is the last day that you can turn out your vote and make your voice heard. Make your voice heard. Speak up for who you want to see, who is best going to deliver results for you and your family and your legacy, your community. August the 6th. And so make sure you take people with you. Thank you for going yourself, but take some folks with you. Remind some people to go show up to
Right.
vote. Make a plan for 10 people. I got 10. Make that your plan. And if people need rides to the polls, they can reach out to us. We'll have information on our social media, for you to be able to get rides to the polls. Also, if you need to know about your status, your registration status, you can go to the Secretary of State website, and there will be some information there to be able to check your registration.
Okay. So
Please
how
come out and vote.
so how can the people learn about Cori Bush? Where can they go to look up information and everything?
Yes, you want to go to my website. My campaign website is coribush.org, coribush.org. So you can go there and look up more information about what the work that I am doing, as far as my issues and all of that, how we're affecting the community. You can also go there to sign up to volunteer. You can go there for more information about how to get involved. Look, we can use your help this weekend. It's go time. So,
Get it?
if you want to make phone calls, if you can show up and canvas with us, knock doors. You all know that the people of St. Louis are amazing. And so going out, knocking those doors and connecting with people, one on one, is just such a great feeling. So if you can do that, or if you want to work the polls with us, we need you to work the polls. We need people who can stand there and let the people know, hey, don't forget about the congresswoman, don't forget about Cori, reminding them at the polls. Look, you get your purple shirt. Everybody, people love the purple shirt. So we will give you a purple shirt.
Yeah. See, I get one for free. Y'all can get one for free.
Yeah, get your shirt.
Okay, Miss Cori. So my last question that I like to ask all my guests: when it is all said and done, and you are long gone from this earth, what is it that you want the people to know about Cori Bush?
That my legacy wasn't in buildings, that
Mm.
my name being on buildings, that my legacy is in the people, the change, the transformation that happened in people, that because that touching that one person affected their family. What affected their family affected the community. What affected the community affected the city and the state, and the country. So I want people to know my work was to transform people's lives for the better.
I love that answer. Well, thank you, Miss Cori Bush, for giving me your
Thank
time.
you.
Like I said, I've been watching you from afar for over the years, and you just truly genuine. And I know that you really do speak for the people and that you have our back. So I'm praying that you get back in office for real.
I appreciate you. Thank you. And thank you. Appreciate the Kango giving us
There you go.
the red Kango. I'm feeling a whole LL vibe like this whole time. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that. You know, I'm a 80s I'm
You
an
know,
80s hip hop baby.
they don't know about that, you know. But I would definitely, I'm gonna let you know. Write an article about this interview, so I'll let you know both when the article and the interview drop. So it should be quick too.
Okay. Thank you
All
so much.
right. Thank you,
All
and
right. You have a
you
great
have a good day.
you too.
All
Bye
right, bye
bye.
bye.